Hello, everyone. It looks like we have some folks joining us. We've got someone from Australia, from Colorado, New Jersey, Grima's Island. Sorry if I didn't say that correctly. Oregon, Utah, Florida, New York City. Awesome. And yes, this is the Santa Isabel tiny home community. Um, the beginning of it, at least. We're in development, the beginning stages of developing it out. Actually, it's further than that, but I mean, as far as it to start, starting to look like something. Hello, Victorville, Jacksonville, Arizona, Washington State, Michigan. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us here. And I don't know, I know it's probably 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock somewhere, but I just wanted to give you a cheers. It's happy hour for sure here in San Diego, at least the back country. So thank you again for joining us. I'll take one little sip and we'll get started. Okay, awesome. So we're here to talk about my favorite subject, which is tiny home communities. And I'll start my presentation here shortly. Here we go. Okay, so we have a lot to talk about today. So I'm going to try not to be distracted with all of your wonderful comments. I will share my contact information with you at the end here. So feel free to reach out to me and we can communicate, and I'd be more than happy to answer any questions as it pertains to tiny homes and tiny home communities. Okay, so tiny home communities, the next step to obtainable housing. Okay, so we all know, I think this is the 6th year for the global conference here, tiny houses. And so definitely we're not brand new in tiny homes, but things are continuing to progress, and it just makes a whole lot of sense. We're in different times. And so these are just some of the statistics. Almost 50% of adults in the United States are single. The older population is the fastest growing homeless population. 32% of young adults live at home. In the United States, there's a thing called silver divorce. And that kind of blew my mind because the baby boomers have the highest rate of divorce. So the whole idea that bigger is better has definitely been proven that it's not true, because as we've seen over time, although the houses grew, the family shrunk. And so the bottom line is tiny homes make a lot of sense. You don't need the big old house anymore. The average places that folks hang out in their homes are their bedroom, their bathroom, the kitchen, and maybe a den or living room. So the need for a big house is gone. There is light at the end of the tunnel. I know here in the United States, especially in California, Southern California, where I'm at, we have some major issues going on with our housing. And so I know that, across the nation, we're seeing this more and more. And I'm not sure globally, but it would only make sense. And so here in the US, there is light at the end of the tunnel. And specifically in California, we've had some rules as of 2020, where January 2020 to be specific, we had a law that passed that no matter what jurisdiction you're in, if you are on a single family lot with a single family home, you can actually have a second home or a second unit in the backyard, which we call accessory dwelling units here, aka ADUs. So what I believe is that ADUs really open the door for what I call, for tiny homes. I actually call them permanent tiny homes. So we're excited that that accessory dwelling units were accepted as the fastest economical way to utilize land that we already have to create affordable housing. I like to call it obtainable housing, because just like trailers have a very negative connotation out there, and there's a stigma against tiny homes because of the homes being on trailers, there has now become a a negative connotation for affordable housing. So I like to call it obtainable housing. So nothing new about tiny homes. It's actually the return of the tiny home. Here in the US, we used to have Little House on the Prairie, where we had these bigger houses and the smaller homes. And again, we've definitely proven through time that the new era of bigger is better, it doesn't make any sense. And again, it's nothing new. They're just, they're on wheels now. And even as it relates to communities, we've had communities within communities for quite some time as well. Here in Southern California, specifically again in San Diego, we have these little communities that are in an area that's called North Park here. We used to take some of our constituents around to do a tour in North Park to show them that, look, it's nothing new. There are actually communities within communities. They were actually called back in the 70s, very popular name for them was pocket neighborhoods. Other names that you may have heard are bungalow courts. So this specific one here is in North Park, and the homes here, I believe these homes are like 500 square feet. So again, that is showing proof that tiny homes and tiny home communities are nothing new. So I think at this point, we all kind of know, and I apologize if if I'm assuming, but for the most part, I think we all at this point know what tiny homes are. They are the definition, at least here in California, what we have defined as a movable tiny home is a structure on a chassis with wheels used for dwelling purposes that provide complete independent living facilities for one or more persons. So that definition alone, it definitely sounds like a habitable structure, right? And I mean, it's become very, very popular. A Yahoo article states that up to this industry is up and coming at $3.33 billion. And so we definitely are seeing the growth of tiny homes. So we're going to start talking about, getting more specifically into communities and how we can build tiny home communities by utilizing ordinances that we already have. So we're going to specifically talk about redesigning trailer parks, also talk about small lot development and detached condo zoning. And we, although these are areas, again, utilizing land ordinances that we already have, we've kind of coined a term called tiny home zones. So all of these different ordinances that we already have can kind of be, in our eyes, classified as a tiny home zone. Our hope is that for the future and the type of advocacy work that we do, that we will be able to actually create tiny home zones that are like these types of zoning. And so we're going to get further into it. First, we'll start talking about trailer parks. When we talk about trailer parks, I'm not sure if you have trailer parks in Australia or in other parts of the country, but we sure do have them here in the United States. And usually, when folks talk about a trailer park, they get this type of visual in their mind. And so unfortunately, because of our history, there is definitely a big stigma on trailer parks. Perhaps you guys can follow me, and I have a presentation that I do about the history of trailer parks. That's very interesting, because one of the things that a lot of folks don't know, but trailer parks are actually, in the beginning, when they were first created, they actually were only for the wealthy. So again, if you'd like to learn more information about that, keep in contact with me, and I can give you a whole history about trailer parks, and it's very interesting. So again, when folks first think about a trailer park, they're like, no way, not in my community. But what we believe is that the trailer park is actually the lowest hanging fruit of actually being able to create something that we already have into a tiny home community. So one of the things that we advocate for is, obviously to get more trailer park zoning or tiny home zones, which is, again, you can put a trailer park in that. But we have to get rid of the dirty word. And the dirty word is trailer or trailer park. Fact of the matter is, the trailers actually it should be called a chassis. And so again, we just in order to, I believe, get more ordinances or get the community to accept trailer parks more, because once the community accepts them more, then the government will have more pressure to give us more of what we're asking for. You know, again, if we have more folks speaking up for more zoning like this, because again, this is the easiest way to be able to create a tiny home community. And so such a time as this, that, you know, we can actually utilize the tiny home movement to get rid of that stigma. So check this out. These are images of RV resorts, or again, they're on trailer parks, and these beautiful tiny homes, movable tiny homes. Some people call some of these in here park models, but look at how beautiful they are. I mean, how difficult would it be for someone that, you know, is in a neighborhood that has a trailer park that has, you know, structures like this on top turn into something on the bottom. So this is definitely, again, a time that we can utilize the tiny home movement to get rid of stigma and have, you know, ultimately more tiny home communities like this. So again, we are here in beautiful San Diego County. This is actually back country. This specific area is called Santa Isabel. And so I didn't get into telling you more about our entity, which I believe there's some slides towards the end, but you know, we've actually helped several government agencies, and now we're even working with private individuals and entities in creating tiny home communities. Not just creating, but we actually have several that we've helped that are in the ground and folks are living in there now. And so what we did was we wanted to have our own. And so we bought a trailer park. It was a dilapidated trailer park here again in the outskirts of San Diego County. But you can kind of see here that there's an image of what it looked like when we first started. And the image on the right is what our hopes are of how it's going to look in the end. Now, there's already been things that have happened throughout the permitting process that we're not actually going to be able to do this exactly how we initially envisioned it. But the point that I wanted to bring to your attention today is just, you know, having an intentional design. So the worst thing for us to do is, let's say that we were able to break through the barriers and get government to give us more trailer park zoning so that we can do, you know, these tiny home communities. Because again, the perfect thing is taking out all the old structures and replacing it with new. But the worst thing for us to do would be to actually just create more trailer parks. So what our hope is that it'll, you know, with the new type of tiny home zones that we're looking to help create, that we would have more of intentional design where it never ends up looking like a trailer park. And so again, you know, a lot of trailer parks, when you see them, not only do they have these old structures that look like you could blow and they fall down, but you can kind of easily identify it by having, you know, the structures are right next to each other and there's just no real design to it. So what we did here was we created more of a cul-de-sac where there's a park like in the middle. I'm going to show you a quick video of
you can build $1 million business and you don't need my money.
I'm going to show you a quick video here of just the design that we created, the intentional design, and just walk you through it real fast. And I'm noticing that I'm already only 12 minutes out. So here is the park again, going in. This is kind of going to be, you know, a walkway. So this walkway here is not meant for cars. This is what the park looked like when we first started. But again, the walkway here is not meant for cars. It's meant just for walking. And so one of the reasons why I had created this design is that as a single mother, raising my two boys, I was very afraid to let them play outside because of our crazy world. So how perfect would it be to have a park like in the middle where, you know, I can just look out the window and see my kids playing in the park. So of course, because of the healthy living, you know, that a lot of people are wanting to do more so nowadays than, in the past, there is going to be an organic garden and then also a community center. So again, I just wanted to kind of show you this. You can see that the cars are on the outskirts of the community, so that they're not really bulking, having the cars in the middle getting in the way of the beautiful park and view. So that's pretty much all that I'm going to show you there, but we're going to keep on moving because I only have 10 minutes total. So going back here, this is Santa Isabel. And again, keep in touch with me. I'd love for you to come check us out when you're in the area. It's a beautiful, beautiful area. We currently have 4 homes down. We also have some glamping tents here, but in the end, we'll have 10. And then once we have these up, we're going to expand. We ended up buying contiguous parcels that are around the park, and we're hoping to have as many homes as possible. But again, in a community where you had a dilapidated park, I mean, how could they turn this down? So we can turn the NIMBYs into YIMBY, which is no, not in my backyard, to a yes in my backyard. Okay, so now we're going to get into small lot development. Again, this is talking about utilizing land that we already have to create tiny home communities. So this here was a community that we helped with an entity up in the city of Sacramento. We used prefab homes, and it was is actually in existence today. It used to be a church parking lot. So you can kind of see here was before, there's some structures on there. They're more like containers. And then this is what we ended up with. There was a total of 11 homes. So I always say tiny is what you define it as. Someone that maybe lives in a 4,000 square foot home, 800 square feet might be tiny to them. These were more prefab homes, so they were 750 square feet. We put them in the ground again. This is the before picture at the bottom, and then this is actually a rendering. I threw that in there just so that you can see more of a mature landscape that we have planned. This also is another what I call pocket neighborhood, a neighborhood within a neighborhood, where I believe you all have probably seen pieces of land that are just like kind of irregular, and a lot of times, especially here in Southern California, unfortunately, they've turned into homeless camps. So this was one of those. So this is kind of before. I don't have an updated picture, but this is more of in the middle of the construction. This also is on a piece of land that was owned by a college. So they were able to actually put 24 homes in a parking lot area for a college that helped aging out of foster care students. And this one here is one that is very exciting. And I think that this is probably the most sexy of them all. I did a talk in Colorado a couple years ago now, and learned about detached condo zoning. So really what detached condos are, the type of land that you have to have is, or, that they did this one on, is multifamily zoning. So again, these are things that are already in existence. And if you think about a condo, condos are usually, the walls are touching. So how perfect is a detached condo where you don't have a minimum size structure? And this is this particular project is actually a very exciting project that's in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And so they had stated that as of March 2022, they were listed as unaffordable. I believe the homes were the average price was like 473,000. And this particular developer, again, utilized multifamily zoning with no minimum requirements, minimal setbacks, in an urban infill. And they were able to sell 29 homes in a community in 50 days at 250,000 per unit. They had such an interest that in their second development, they utilized their interest list and only sold out in a few days. So this model can actually work in most major metropolitan areas. As soon as I got back from Colorado, we rushed down to the city of San Diego and asked, hey, is this something that you would be open to? And it was like hands down, no questions asked. Yes, just multifamily. So again, this is something that you can do today if you go out and find multifamily zoning. So this is just how beautiful these units are. This was their 1 bedroom, 1 bath, 335 square foot unit. They have built this and have broke ground. This also is up top. And these are actually more modular. So these are going to be more permanent that are in the ground and not the movable tiny homes. You can see on the bottom that this is also a 1 bath, 605 square foot. And when you go modular, you actually, if you go 2 stories, because modular is more based on the state building codes. So this is going to be, really more based on stick built type of codes. So they actually can stand up in their loft up top. And then here's just some more beautiful images of this particular project. So again, that's multifamily. And so I do have a couple of videos that I wanted to show to you. So there you go. This here is, I wanted to share this with you. This is something I didn't talk about, which again, as it relates to tiny home communities, I had mentioned, that the accessory dwelling units was a way that we've utilized land, at least for the backyards here in California. So one thing I didn't mention is this is actually another way that you could actually create a tiny home community. So we were working on a project. It didn't go through, but I thought it'd be very interesting to show you. You can see it here on the corner. It's actually an existing 2 structures. It was more, the zoning was like multifamily where you can do 2 to 3 units, but they were already in existence. The land, it goes out to about right here. So because we have this thing here in California where we can actually do unlimited accessory dwelling units, I wanted to share with you what our plan was here for that same piece of land where we would utilize the same primary residence and then just build on these unlimited modular units that are under the unlimited ADU, the ordinance that allows us to do unlimited ADUs in this particular area of San Diego. So again, this is just, a great way to do a tiny home community. And then this also is a project that we had worked on that is on a ranch. It's currently in process right now in more Northern California. And you can see that we also were doing the modular structures in the ground, a beautiful project that is being built on a ranch. So I'm going to go ahead and move on because we have 3 minutes left. Again, please stay in contact with me. We do have a petition out, change.org, that's just asking you to also help use your voice to help us and help you and your communities to get more tiny home communities in whatever jurisdiction you're in. And I'll just finish it off by telling you a little bit more about Rebuilding Green. These are some other communities that we've been involved in California. We've done other trailer parks where we've turned a dilapidated trailer park that you could blow and the units would fall down into a tiny home community in a very expensive area here in the Bay Area, San Mateo County, some stuff in city of Sacramento, Ojai. We're working with some new developments like in the Yosemite area, also in the Livermore area, perhaps some senior villages. In the Riverbank area in more Northern California, we're also working towards a veteran village and senior village, and many, many more. So what we do is we advocate first in California, and I am on the board as a secretary for the Tiny House Industry Association. If you don't know about the Tiny House Industry Association, you definitely got to sign up and become a member. It's a very inexpensive membership. I think probably for the price of a few coffees, you could get a membership for the whole year. But that's a great way to keep your finger on the pulse for what's going on in the whole nation. And then, a way that we sustain our business is We have relationships with plenty of builders, both small and the largest builders in the United States, where, you know, they can build units. And again, the way we sustain ourselves is by selling units, both movable tiny homes, manufactured homes, both for residential and for commercial. We do have a project I didn't mention in Alameda that we're doing a homeless shelter as commercial structures. And again, the biggest thing that we're very excited about is tiny home communities. So if you'd like to know more about what you might be able to do in your area, one of the things that we offer as a free service is just kind of some pre-due diligence up front. So if you have a piece of land that you'd like to have us look into on whether or not you can do a tiny home community, please feel free to reach out to us, and we'd be more than happy to help you figure out if you can also do a tiny home community. And if not, what what might be going on in your area, in your jurisdiction, so we can maybe get together and work together to get the building officials on board. And then also, please keep in touch with me if you're out here in San Diego. We also are open to partnering with folks to do tiny home communities, both in California and across the nation. So again, my time is up. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed giving you this information. I'm very passionate about tiny home communities, and I look forward to keeping in touch with many of you. Hey, Lindsay. Thank you.